It's so painful now. It's horrible. It's not even worth it to me anymore because I hate losing the next day of feeling horrible.
It's so much
I have,
less. Gives you so much more.
I know. My trick is start day drinking like 3 and stop at like 6 and then I'm done and then
There
I'm
you
fine.
go.
Yeah.
Just move
Right.
back a little.
Yeah. City manager tips for survival. No
I'm going to
kidding.
put that on the video because I think we need.
I feel like, you know what, it's true. My other good rule is I can't have wine till I change my clothes when I get home. Like I can't walk straight to the refrigerator.
I like it.
So I have boundaries, I feel like.
We did a whole podcast series on setting boundaries and work-life balance.
Those are my boundaries.
Ready? Okay.
Okay, so where am I looking at? You? Okay.
Let's start just with your name and your jurisdiction and title.
Okay, hi, I'm Reva Feldman. I'm the city manager for the city of Malibu in California.
Let's start with what moment or event made you realize you wanted to be in local government?
I don't really think I had one moment. I had always wanted to work in the nonprofit sector or local government, and I was fortunate enough to start working on a local park bond measure in Los Angeles County. And from there, I went to work for a state park agency and worked my way up through the ranks, and then ended up moving to the city of Malibu, where I've been for almost 15 years now. I started as administrative service director, and then I became assistant city manager, and now city manager.
Oh, wow. What's
Yeah.
it like moving up through the ranks in the same jurisdiction?
For me, I think it's been terrific because you have the knowledge of the community. I also lived in Malibu for a long time, and my daughter went through the school system there. So I had the pleasure of kind of being part of the community as well as working for the community. And there's so much to know about a community. So the longer that you're there, the more you know about your city, the more you know your residents and the key people. And they become your life and your friends. So I think for me, being able to work my way up through the ranks has been very beneficial to what I'm able to provide.
That's a lucky thing.
It is. It's really unusual.
What do you think some of the most important qualities are for a city manager or somebody aspiring to be a city
Right. I think you have to be someone who can do a lot of things at the same time. It kind of takes multitasking to a new level. I think being a patient person is very helpful because you're dealing with a lot of different types of people from your city council, which could be 5 or 7 members. Some cities are even more than that. So you're dealing with all these different people who are your boss technically. So being able to be patient and flexible with what they need. And then the same thing goes for your community and your staff, of being able to address things and think on your feet and being willing to be flexible.
Do you have any advice for how to keep a clear head with all of those different priorities?
For me, I'm always saying the work-life balance, which I know is super cliche and that everyone says that, but I do really believe that's important. I always feel that I'm much better in any part of my life when everything is working well. So I'm taking care of myself, and I've spent time with my family, and I've been home and I've been at work in an equal amount of time. I think if one gets out of balance, then it kind of affects everything else. So I'm a big proponent of take care of yourself and have really good people and a really good support system around you, not just in your personal life, but in your city hall and in your community as well, so that you have people who can support you on those tough days.
I like that. I like that, having somebody in your office too. That's really
Right,
nice.
yeah. I'm very, very lucky that I have an amazing department head team. My assistant city manager, my assistant to the city manager, and my executive assistant, we all are just kind of one unit, and we really help support each other. So that makes a big difference every day.
And on the subject of support, can you describe a challenge that you faced in your career, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Well, I've had a lot of challenges, as we all have, but I think that the most challenging thing that I've gone through is over the past year with the Woolsey fire. The Woolsey fire was the largest disaster to hit Los Angeles County ever. It burned close to 100,000 acres. It took 14 days to put out. And during that period, we evacuated 250,000 people from the fire area and the entire city of Malibu, including the city hall. And during that time, I was also evacuated from my home. And it was just an unprecedented disaster that no one could have seen At one point, we had a wall of fire 14 miles long heading towards our city. And so being able to handle that and get through that. And yesterday during the opening session, they were talking about emergency plans and that in a disaster, your plan gets put on the shelf. And that's really unfortunately true because you have every type of plan you can. And then something happens that you never can have imagined. So we ended up evacuating our city hall and our EOC for 3 weeks into neighboring Santa Monica. And had to get through all of that. So I think that and the recovery period, which has been very, very hard for our community as it would be for any city. We lost close to 500 homes, and just helping our residents get back from that and the trauma of dealing with a whole community that's traumatized and everyone has been impacted or they know someone who's been impacted. It's been a long, tough year.
What are some of the lasting effects on your residents after that?
I think it's the trauma that people carry with them and the fear that it's going to happen again. And if you've burned, and we've had fire after fire in Malibu, so I have residents homes have burned more than once, twice, 3 times. And so it's always that fear that it's going to happen again. Obviously, the fear that someone's going to die. We had 3 deaths in the Woolsey fire. Which was horrible, but you always worry about that and how to get people out safely. So I think it's how to rebuild in a safe way and how to always be prepared, which is a tough thing to do.
Did ICMA connections or your membership help you in this challenge or in any others?
I think that not only my ICMA connections, but all of my professional connections have been something that helped me get through not only the immediate disaster, but the entire year that I've been through. There's nothing like having someone who's a city manager to understand what another city manager is going through. And I've been very fortunate that I have a lot of good friends and they just rose to the challenge, served in our EOC, sent staff outside of the mutual aid system into our EOC because we ran it for 3 straight weeks, 24 hours a day. And we're a small staff. I have 85 people on staff. And so with other people who were impacted by the fire and road closures, it was very challenging to staff. And so I encourage people have that professional network, use ICMA, use your league in your state to make those connections and call on people. And then my other tip is when you know another city or a city manager is going through a tough time or a disaster, reach out and see what you can do to help because it's really important for us to be there for each other.
Oh yeah, that's so important, the two-way connection there.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're able to come here and see people. It must be nice.
It's really nice. It really kind of refuels me because it's just all the people who care about you and understand, and so it's been very nice, very nurturing.
What's been the highlight of your career so far?
There's so many. I think that you're as a leader in your city, you want to do what's best for your community, whether that's a big project. For us, right before the fire last year, we bought about 30 acres of open space that was slated to be developed, and we were able to close escrow on a huge land acquisition for a small city. So that was something I was very proud of. Our city is a rural residential community, and preserving open space is something that's core to our mission. And so being able to be a part of that and really make that happen for my residents was really very important. But again, just getting through this past year and keeping our heads above water and hopefully getting everybody through to a better place.
I'm sure. Especially with everything going on, what excites you about the profession?
I think for me, it's watching the next generation of leaders come up through my organization and other organizations. I know we all talk about the millennial generation. I have nothing but good things to say about the younger generation that works for me. They're inspired, they're passionate, they're dedicated, they have this amazing energy to do the right thing. And so looking across our country and knowing that there's a whole group of people who are going to take us into kind of the next level of city management is really exciting for me.
What do you think are some of the most important issues facing the government right now?
I think there's a lot of challenges. I think the fact that we're dealing with a new way of living in the climate that we have, and emergency preparedness. I know there was a tornado today that was very damaging through Texas and a few other states, and so all of us have to kind of come together and address that in a different way. It's not business as usual when you start talking about sea level rise and flooding, whether you're on the coast or you're not on the coast. That's something that's going to impact us. So I think that's something we're going to have to figure a way through to make keep our communities livable and safe. So I think that would probably be my top answer. I could probably go on that one. It's all challenging.
Okay. Yes. I think we already touched on this a little bit, but what has been the most valuable part of being a member of ICMA, especially coming from a smaller jurisdiction?
Right. Again, I think it's the networking, the educational information that we get, the resources. I go on the ICMA website frequently to get information, to see what other communities are doing, and to learn from what other people are doing, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time I embark on something.
What would you say to encourage somebody to join ICMA?
I think any professional network that you can be a part of is very important. Again, for the resources, the support, the networking, the knowledge that's out there. I mean, ICMA brings, hundreds and hundreds of collective years of knowledge of people who have been through there and done it, and so taking advantage of that is really important.
What do you believe could help make the profession more inclusive?
I think it's a focus on diversity and making sure that our city governments reflect our communities and our states and our country. I'm currently the president of the California League of Cities City Manager Department, and so I've just launched my work plan for this year, and one of the topics that I really want to focus on is diversity in the city management profession. One of the ways we think it's important to do that is not just for city managers to talk about it, but for us to talk about it with our city council and our mayors, and making sure that they are hiring the right people to reflect our communities. So it's on the city managers, I think, and the cities to train and bring up the very best people that we can and have them ready to launch into that next career.
We have 3 more questions for you. These are the ICMA RC section.
Okay.
The first is what, and this is similar to what you already said, but what is the role of cities and towns in our communities?
I think the cities and towns are the voices of the people. That local government is such an important part of how our country works. Because you have the federal government, then you have all your state government, but it's really until you get to the local government where change can really happen that actually impacts what a community wants and reflects an individual community's goals. For example, in Malibu, about a year and a half ago, we banned plastic straws. We're obviously a beach community. We have 21 miles of coast, and so protecting our oceans is very important to us. And so we were one of the first cities in California to actually ban plastic straws, which was important to our community for reasons that are very dear to us. And then now the state of California has actually banned them as well. But it's us taking that step to do what we believe is right for us.
That's so fantastic. You were a leader in that movement.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges local governments face today?
I think there's so many things that local government wants to do, and obviously there's a limit on the amount of funding that you can have to accomplish those things. So I think that there's not a community that I know of that wouldn't want to do more and provide more for their citizens, whether it's park facilities or community facilities or cultural experiences or safer roads or more police. I think all of us want that, and really the thing that stands in the way is the funding.
And what role do retirement benefits play for local government employees?
I think it's an important thing. I think we work very, very hard, and I think communities expect their government employees to work hard. We are public servants, and we are serving our communities, for years on end. And so knowing that you have a pension at the end of that, I think is a bonus. I like to jokingly say on my worst days, it's kind of the hope that keeps me going, but I don't know if that's the right answer. So you don't need to put that on the film, but that's my true feeling.
Do you have any
Sure. For me, no. It's very important if you're in government to be an ethical person, and that has to be the core of who you are, not just in your professional life, but in your personal life as well. So for me, I don't really feel that I've ever had to think about, is this ethical or not, but I think it's a very good reminder for all of us to always do the right thing. And you come across situations that blur those lines. So for me, I always reach out to my city attorney and ask, where do you feel this falls? Do we think we have a conflict? So being able to know what could be ethical or unethical is very important.
Is there anything that you might want to add that we didn't ask? Or?
I don't think so, but thank you for including me. I hope that worked out.
That was wonderful.
Great,
So
good,
much.
okay, thank you. And I didn't like twitch or touch my nose. Or
No,
no, I don't.
Let me go ahead and disconnect.
Oh, I forgot about that, sorry.
That's all right.
you can take it with you if you want.
Oh, yeah, that's what you want. You do not want to give me a mic.